Ghost hunting shows are awesome. Actually, strike that. Most ghost hunting shows kind of suck, but I've always found all the equipment they use to detect ghosts really fascinating. And as someone who lives in a real, actual haunted apartment... What? Yeah, this is all right up my alley. So it probably goes without saying that I was anxiously anticipating the release of Phasmophobia on PS5 and PSVR2. A game that lets you go on ghost hunts solo or online with 3 friends, equipped with all the same crazy gadgets you've probably seen Zach, Ryan, Shane, Sam, and Colby all use on their respective shows. But starting off, you're not some streamer with millions of subscribers, so you're stuck at level 1 using some pretty basic ghost hunting tools like an analog thermometer, UV flashlight, EMF reader, a video camera, and those Xbox Kinect green dots that you probably saw in Paranormal Activity 4. These are things that you buy at an in-game store, load up into your truck, and then take with you into haunted locations. But the point of all this isn't to catch ghosts Ghostbusters style, although that would be a pretty cool addition. The point is to get in there and capture enough evidence to determine what kind of ghost is present, making it, I guess, a puzzle game or even a social deduction game more than anything else. UV evidence will present itself as a hand or footprints. When your thermometer goes below 0, that's evidence of freezing temperatures. Ghost orbs can only be seen in video cameras with night vision turned on, and that's barely the basics. You've got to figure out which room the ghost is even haunting before you can even get started. You've got to manage your sanity, avoid getting killed when the ghost decides to hunt.
Go. Go, 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 go.
Somebody just died.
Plus, there's always a ton of bonus objectives and photos you can take to get the most XP and cash if you manage to survive and figure out what ghost was present. And it really is cool that when you take photos of items that the ghost interacted with, they automatically show up here on this corkboard with amazingly proper descriptions, like the ghost touched this or the ghost left a handprint.
Jay made a funny noise just then.
Fortunately, you don't have to do this alone, although if you're like me, you might want to. It's fun to play with other people, coordinating and figuring out who's going to look for what evidence, but I always end every multiplayer session by playing a few games on my own. It's way scarier that way, and I do take it pretty seriously, surprisingly so, as if I'm on a real-life ghost hunt. And yeah, I know what you're thinking. How can you take it seriously when the environments look like they're ripped straight out of some PlayStation 2 game from 2004? And yeah, as much as I love the lighting and shadows, everything shimmers. The DFR option doesn't improve the resolution or frame rate, and it all runs at 120 reprojected. And while all of that sucks, it all falls away so quickly once you're immersed into the game, meaning that the experience can get pretty scary. Items fly across the room, lights will flicker or turn off unexpectedly, a voice will whisper in your ear. It can be terrifying, especially when you know that your life's in danger. Sometimes you'll make it out alive and sometimes you won't. And if you die, there are repercussions, forcing you to spend a bunch of money back at HQ to repurchase all the equipment that you lost in the hunt. And just when you're getting used to the basic equipment that you have, Phasmophobia will start unlocking new tools and upgrades for your loadout. You'll go from a tiny little laser pen projecting green dots to a wall-mounted one that covers a larger area. The head-mounted cameras get dramatically cooler with every upgrade. And once you get a digital thermometer, you'll never have to sit there staring at an analog thermometer again while the mercury slowly moves up or down while you're pretending that every second you waste isn't 1 second closer to death. The better you do on hunts, the faster you level up and the more money you make, all of which can be accomplished faster by completing the daily and weekly challenges. There's no story, no cutscenes, it's just one investigation after another, each one taking anywhere from 5 to 25 minutes depending on how long it takes you to gather enough evidence. At this point, I'm probably around 100 hours in, and I still have a long way to go before I'm done unlocking stuff, and I still have so much to learn about how to identify each ghost, including a lot of stuff that you just learn from experience that the game never tells you, like knowing that wraiths don't leave footprints in salt, or that Goryos don't show up in the dots except for in the camcorder, or that demons are ruthless and will hunt you almost immediately, or that obakes sometimes leave a 6-finger handprint. When you start absorbing this knowledge, you start realizing just how deep Phasmo really is. And I'll be honest with you, it took me forever to grow a backbone, stop playing on beginner mode, and start playing on harder and harder difficulties, which along with rewarding you with more money and XP, also challenge you with the additional task of finding the breaker box, makes it harder to hide from ghosts when they're hunting, and gives you less information overall to work with. And when you eventually start playing on Nightmare or Insanity difficulty, ghosts only give you 2 pieces of evidence to check off in your journal, and you can only narrow down which one it is from there, based on their behavior. Oh, and there's 24 different types of ghosts out there, so you've got your work cut out for you. I suck at memorization, and I haven't had to learn this much since high school, but I am slowly learning it all. And now, I totally understand when people say they have over 1,000 hours in this game. As you level up, you'll unlock more and more locations to scout. There's a few small houses, some bigger houses, and a couple of locations that are so big and packed with so many rooms to check out that it almost makes me wish Phasmophobia had support for 8 players. But even when you're grinding it out, going back to the same house over and over just to get some extra money or boost your XP, you still never know what kind of ghost you're going to encounter, what room it'll haunt, or even what kind of evidence you're looking for. But as much as I love Phasmophobia, there are some problems that new players have to be aware of. When you decide to play, you'll also have to decide to deal with some jank. The store and loadout screen feel needlessly over-designed. The in-game voice chat will occasionally just stop working for one person, forcing them to drop out and rejoin. Sometimes my right sense controller just stops tracking for 3 or 4 seconds. And every so often you just won't be able to open a door or a closet until you fumbled around with it for a minute. Oh, and the frame rate will take a dive occasionally, regardless of whether you're on the PS5 Pro or not, although the Pro does smooth some of this out. The proximity chat works great, as do the walkie-talkies when you're out of range from your friends, but there's no voice recognition when using the spirit boxes or Ouija boards, meaning you'll have to select your voice commands from a menu. Now, this isn't the crushing blow some people claim that it is. A few PC gamers have told me that they don't even use the voice function because it's not exactly reliable. But I mean, come on. It'd be nice to have the option. And really, after you play for a few hours, you're not going to notice any of the issues. A lot of them you just get accustomed to or learn how to work around, and eventually you stop thinking about them. But you will be reminded that they're there and still an issue every single time you play with somebody new.
You're too close to this. These things fuck it up. The tent doors.
Phasmophobia launched into early access on Steam over 4 years ago, and since then has generated a massive fan base. And because it's crossplay with all versions, the lobbies are always packed. Now, seriously, if you create a public room, it'll fill up in seconds. But you should know that even here on PS5 and PSVR2, it's still considered an early access game. And while sometimes it will feel like that from a polish standpoint, there's so much content here that'll ensure you get way more playtime than a typical $20 indie game would give you. Plus, Developer Kinetic Games isn't done. They're currently overhauling the journal UI, reworking some of the assets, and even bringing a new device, the EMF reader, into the fold soon. I love Phasmophobia as is, and I'm so glad that I jumped in and let it take over my life for the last couple months, but I can't wait to see what's next and what it evolves into.
I'll put that camera.